Hello. What's up?
Hi.
What's going on?
What are we doing?
We're on the interwebs.
No way.
We are live on the interwebs from the Women in HVACR conference. I'm pissing people off. Probably already. So it goes. Wait, so when did you get in? Yesterday?
Yeah, Monday morning.
Okay.
I don't even know what day it is.
Wait. Yeah, yesterday. Yeah. So have you learned anything here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is my second Women in HVACR conference.
Okay.
When
was the last one? Last year?
Last year. I had only been with refrigeration tech for a few weeks though. So I came to the event and I was so overwhelmed.
Oh, yeah.
Because I didn't know anyone. I was so new to like the HVAC side of things.
You're like walking around like a deer in headlights.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. But
how educated do you feel now, having spent a year in HVAC?
I feel like I know so much
Really?
more. Yes. Like I didn't even, if you'd asked me like, what's a mini split last year, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it. It's just
have you read like a lot of stuff in the last year? Like, have you educated truly?
It's kind of a combination of both. So I learn a lot from being on social media, talking to contractors on social media. So basically, a lot of what I do is like when people tag us in things, and I'm like, what am I looking at? So I'll ask them that, like, hey, thanks for using this. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you're doing here?
And we work in an industry where people are always like willing to like throw out information.
Yes.
And like so willing to be like, yeah, let me explain to you what, like, love it. Like, yeah, sit down.
Yes.
Let's go through what we're seeing here.
Yes. And it's funny. It depends on the contractor, on who you're talking to. The ones who are so tech heavy, they want to explain everything to me from start to finish. And then I have other ones where they're like, oh, all I was doing was some routine maintenance on, the system. But that's helped a lot. I've learned a lot from Jennifer Manzo, HVAC Chicks.
HVAC Chicks.
So like I love her HVAC trivia and
HVAC trivia time. Yes. She threw one out today for the first time in a while, but she's been in North Carolina, like helping the victims of Hurricane Helene.
She's amazing.
She's like another type of breed of human, like 6 kids. Like that's insane. Like she's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what I noticed though? Like mine is like glittery.
Yes.
And lots of glitz and glam.
Yes.
And yours is Viper.
Well, I have to rep my brand.
Yeah. You have to brand. You know, speaking of brands, interestingly enough, speaking of brands, you know, it's so weird. Like, I know we had like an hour and a half, like podcast together. And by the way, if you haven't seen that, go watch it. Check it out. It's actually the most popular one more popular than anybody so far on YouTube. Like,
man, we had a really fun conversation.
You know, it's interesting too, because I have to aggregate all of the platforms. Like, I don't know where people get their media from. Like some people have dedicated, like, okay, I'm going to just do like YouTube. That's going to be my thing. But I'm so spread out that I'm like, okay, I have to like kind of add everything up. So yeah, but the YouTube's done really, really well. Tell me, like, have you recognized people here? Like, or have people come up to you and said that they recognize you from like social media because of how many like videos you're in?
Yeah, I've definitely had that happen. I've had it happen a few times here. I was at a Hardy conference last month, and the Hardy organization. So that conference, it was like a mix of sales and marketing. And every time someone would be like, oh, refrigeration technologies, what do you guys do? And I would say, oh, you know, Viper products. And they'd be like, that's why I recognize you from social media. And to me, I'm just like, well, I'm like a nobody. Like I run the brand account and I put out stuff on my page, but that's really just like fun things that don't necessarily fit the brand.
Yeah.
But it is weird when people recognize me from social media.
Yeah, I would say that's got to be kind of weird. Like, interestingly enough, I kind of feel like obviously we had the conversation, you know, you did a podcast, like it was really kind of a tell-all, very cool, very heartfelt actually. And then like, you know, I've seen you in all these videos and it's weird. Like this is the first time I'm actually meeting you in person.
Yeah.
But it's like, I feel so familiar with you already. Like, it's really strange.
Then I'm doing a good job. Like that
is the job.
Authenticity is the name of the game. Like, I don't want to put out content that's not authentic. I want to be my most authentic self. And whether that's on my personal page, like my personal Instagram or my like HVAC Instagram.
Right. You're just on the gram though. You're not really a Facebook person.
No.
Most of my viewers are actually, most of my listeners are actually literally like I've looked in the thousands of views on Facebook. Yeah, but it's like almost terrible. It's like I'm so latched in, I can't get out of it.
Yeah. I think, okay, so I got a Facebook account it's going to age me, but 2005 when I went to college.
Oh my God. So aged.
When I went to college. And so like I used Facebook for so many years. And then eventually it's just like, it kind of is like, for me, like I love Instagram. And I have a love-hate relationship with TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm at a point like, and I realize it's so stupid. Like, and you probably already know this, but like my personal Facebook page is way more popular. Like I have thousands of followers on my personal page and only like 600 on my podcast page.
Yeah.
So it's like crazy. Like I end up like posting things on my personal page and they get all this engagement and then I have to share it to my my sales page. But okay, what are you taking away from this conference? Is there one specific thing you want to take away?
I really love all the connections that I get to make, new people that I'm meeting that are in the industry. Like just this morning, they had some like tabletop discussions while we were having breakfast.
What were they about?
The one I sat in on was all about community engagement, like in your local communities, like how to get your businesses more involved and things like that. And for us, because I don't live where the company is located. So I was trying to get some ideas from this group of like, what are some community things we can be doing basically across the country? So I just like to pick ideas from that. But I'm sitting next to another marketing director. And she was like, can I get your info so we can, chat after this, maybe toss ideas around. So those connections, they're so valuable.
It seems that's really the reason why people do these events. Like, and I love the breakouts. Like the breakouts are really cool. They're so insightful. So do you have a bunch of events planned for this year?
Yes, we are prepping for HVACR in February. So that'll be
so massive though. Like every time I've been to AHR, it's massive. The thing is just huge.
I went to my first AHR in 2018. And I've just watched it explode. Even after COVID, I thought it wasn't necessarily going to come back the way that it did. And man, that next year, there were so many people still.
Yeah, I went to that one. I was there. What are okay, it's obviously women in HVACR. What are some things that are happening here that you've seen that are like completely geared just towards that concept and not so much of have you seen anything versus like more of like agnostic industry stuff? Because I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, like this morning, so we had a keynote speaker and she's talking about imposter syndrome. And that is so common with like in general, but with women. So it's a really good topic for us to kind of hear about from a professional. How do we avoid this? How can we look at things differently? How can we have confidence in ourselves so that we don't feel like imposters, and so that we can continue to grow women in this male dominated industry?
Yeah, that makes sense. I talked to Jennifer Manzo, HVACR Jennifer, about the dichotomy that she has to overcome something. Like, actually, if you look, I've clipped like 2 or 3 videos of her during our conversation. One's got, I mean, the one's the most popular one I have on TikTok, which is like, she talks about how a guy would not pay for services to her, like called the company, would not pay for her to do it. Said, you can send a guy here to do this, but I'm not paying for her. You're not going to demean me by sending me some guy. As actually, I never thought when I clipped that I'd have, they were like, it's like, I mean, it's a lot for me, like 6,000 like views. And I'm like, wow, that's bonkers. But I guess it goes over. It's like, it talks about that. There's a dichotomy that has to overcome there. I think it's going to take years before like the actual, you know, you're seeing it more and more and more. And actually, I'm really glad that like, there's actually some women that are like techs who are posting lots of content. Content. I don't know. You saw my video on content.
I think so.
Okay. I was talking about like, what is content?
Okay.
Like, what's content? Like, what is it? I don't know what it is.
Anything can be content.
No, but I was upset at the time. In the moment I was ranting and I was saying like, what is this content? Is it a meaningful conversation? Is it something? Yeah. Hey, Shauna, are you there? Hey, Shauna, I instead of logging out and coming back in and everything else, I'm just gonna have you come.
Yeah, we'll just cycle.
Just come right over. So I'm gonna bring Shauna over. Is it Huffman?
It's Brown. That's
Brown. Shauna Brown.
Yeah, Huffman's my maiden name, which is on social.
Oh, that's why. Yeah. Shauna Brown. I met them first. I mean, it was a few years ago, actually.
Do you want to swap?
No, sit here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Shauna, I saw you. Shauna, I met you.
Facebook World.
I met you. It was at an
JB
event at JB Warranties. That's right. It was, and I happened to be wearing the hat. Just like a happenstance. I happened to be like saying like, oh, I'm going to an HVACR conference. Let me put on like my most agnostic like hat that I can put on. Otherwise, it's like, what I have to choose a brand, like my American Standard hat. Like get in with Amana. What do I put on here? I don't want to take anybody off. JB Warranties. That's good.
Yeah. It's good. It's a beautiful place out there. Oh my gosh.
JB Warranties.
Oh,
yeah. So for those that don't know, JB Warranties has a ranch here in Argyle, Texas. Yeah. That is like they've like dug out. Like I remember when it was getting built.
It's so peaceful. And there's a big pond and fish in it, and there's a big outdoor area, and it's just gorgeous. Yeah. I mean, you would want to work there.
Yeah,
because it's
so they work there and they live there. So the Bohannons live there on the property, not in that building,
right? But
they live there.
And it's rolling hills, and it's green, and
it's beautiful. So I'm actually doing a training there for TACA on Thursday. It's an abbreviated load calculation class.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So this is the deal. Nobody does load calcs. Let's just be honest. Nobody's doing load calcs. 3/4 of people I meet, they have no idea how to even do them. And so manual J's take a long time, right? So there's a load calculation that was developed by Carrier that is a point-based system. It's really close. It's a good tool. It's a tool to use. It's good. It's better than doing nothing, which is like in my experience of anybody that I've coached, trained, interacted with, they just don't do them. And I know manual J, so I can teach manual J. But are you going in a replacement and going into a house and going like, hey, I'm going to take 2 hours now, and sometimes you might get a customer that goes, hey, I want to go ahead and I want a real manual J on this, right? And you take 2 hours, but let's be honest, like it's just not a part of it, right? So I'm teaching guys, we've got a bunch of registrants, I'm teaching guys, girls, whatever, people, how to do this load calculation. It's so valuable.
You know what that is? Manual J.
No.
Okay, so maybe tell your viewers what you're talking about.
So it's the way to determine what the sizing of the HVAC unit that's necessary to install in your house is going to be.
Yes. Gotcha.
And realistically, what happens is guys do this, and it's for years. They look up at the house and they go, yeah, well, you got a 3-ton. You've been pretty happy with it. Another 3-ton goes in.
Right.
Or you got a 5-ton, another 5-ton goes in. Or, oh, I'm not cold enough. Oh, you have a 4-ton? That will just go up a step. And so it's a real shortcutted way to do it.
Yeah.
It's not the way to do it.
Well, you want to build value and confidence. And so that's certainly a way to do it.
You do.
Yeah.
Confidence, value, but also it's a way to have math. It's a way to have actual, like,
verified
engineer, something that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's anyway. So doing this class at JB Warranty,
awesome.
So they were nice enough to donate the place or whatever.
Yeah,
And then we're going to
super
have
generous.
at the very end of it all, we're actually going to have a barista, like, what's it called? What's a bar, like a hired cocktailologist, a mixologist, come in, and we're going to do like a happy hour afterwards. And this is on Thursday.
Yeah.
And so you want to delay your flight, just come on in free. You just come in for free. And we'll mix
I'll call
drinks
Josh.
afterwards.
Come on
I
over.
really hope that we kept the mixologist thing, because I remember them saying they were going to do the mixologist and then have a happy hour. And then they were like, well, wait a minute, maybe it's just beer and wine. So I got to check if we're still doing that. But
don't hold you to it.
Either way, there'll be booze there.
They have a good time out there.
Who the heck are you? I know you're doing so much, and we haven't connected in a while. And what are you doing?
Okay, so I own On the Double Heating and Cooling.
Great branding.
Right, yeah. Kick Charge, Dan Antonelli and his wonderful crew. We rebranded about 2.5 years ago. And
what
we're
was
out
the original name?
Air Tex.
That's right.
TEX.
I remember that.
Yeah, and which is really
yeah,
and it's really difficult in our market to like stand out
Air
with
Tex.
that because we're in Texas
Air Tex.
and Texas Tech University. So every company is something TECK or TECH or TEK or TEX or
there's 15 of them in a 5-mile radius from here.
Right. Yeah. So we need
You're
somebody
in Amarillo, though, right?
No, and we're in Lubbock.
Lubbock, that's right.
Which is where Texas
I
Tech
have to
is.
run to another session,
Yes, and
but I'm going to let you guys.
Are you doing another podcast?
No, I have another breakout session that I need to get to.
Something.
I know. That's what. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you guys chat about this.
Okay.
And thank you.
Yeah. It's nice to meet you.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going on at 4 or 3 here in a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you're podcasting live.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay, tell us about your podcast. That's very interesting.
I'm not the podcaster. I'm on one.
Well,
I'm about to go on Power Women of the Trade. Yeah.
Is Cassie the
Cassie
and Cassie Pound is
yes, and she has a new partner who I actually haven't met in person yet. So
I'm going to meet her. To the wolves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you're going from one podcast to another. So
that's
if you're watching live on Facebook, you have to be live on Facebook. You're going to see Shauna here and over there.
Yeah. And I am not the sole owner of our business. I run it with my husband, Josh. So I just want to throw that out there. Yeah. And so we've just run a HVAC only company out in West Texas. And it's, just what we do. And we love it. And it's lots to learn all the time. But
Jason Walker just chimed in, said he's in Texas. Jason, we're actually at a conference here, Women in HVACR. It's the Lonestar Leadership Conference, hosted by Women in HVACR.
Yep.
What's your takeaway so far?
I think what's so wonderful. Yeah. So this is different. So typically we go to mostly like contractor focused events because we're contractors, and so we're taking away nuggets and things to implement and that kind of thing. And I think this is just a little bit different in that it's more self-development, because the diversity of the people that are here, which are 95% women, is wonderful, but it's all over. We did kind of divided out the room of who's contractors, who's like maybe works for a distribution like company, maybe Linux or whatnot. And we were dividing that out of the room, and the contractors were actually the smallest group out of all of that. So it's really been fascinating to meet all the different other aspects from all over. I mean, somebody was from Toronto. I mean, they came that far to be part of this organization or part of this event. So I just think it's really neat. Like the women, I've always believed, we are women here at SWAR type of person, but I do believe that women are the backbone and have been the backbone to this industry for many, many years. I mean, we know like they do like that. And not
to stereotype that, right? But like in my mind, I always envision like, the wife, like running everything in the office, like all the stuff, and the backbone of the company.
Well, and it is, I mean, and like that's more my role than it is like my husband's is more is the field direction and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's just really nice for us to rise up and support each other and learn from each other and collaborate and know that we're not on this little island of our own out here, like running these organizations. So,
are you in a trades group, like a practice group, or no?
We're not currently.
Okay.
We're actually interviewing quite a few. So, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I mean, we've been part of a lot of different coaching programs and that kind of thing, but we have not been part of one of the.
You guys are networkers. You guys,
we are.
See you guys. You're active online.
Yes.
You kind of get involved in the conversations, to our detriment, by the way, because I think sometimes we get involved in conversations that are like, oh my gosh,
I lurk more than I interact as far as like anything that's has to do with drama, because I'm like stay away from drama.
Also we were affiliated with a group that is no longer really operating, and so there's that. It's kind of like, okay, well, that was interesting.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I just stay away from all that. But the fringe, they need sort of drama. They need sort of drama. But I love the relationships that I've made in this industry, and I love the people. I don't know if it's different than other industries, but I sure feel like it seems like it, because everyone's so genuine, like, and so the bond and the understanding and just the willingness to always share and collaborate, and because we're not even none of us are in the same market, so we just share all of our ideas, and even the ones that are in the same market are willing to share their experiences, and they're just generous.
Why do you think that is?
Well, for us personally, I mean, we're friends with a lot of the same industry folks in our own market. There's plenty of market share for everyone. We all provide different types of services or levels of services, and I just think there's plenty for all of us.
Yeah,
and we all rise together.
We do ride together, Jason. We are in Dallas, man. So you're a 3.5 hour drive from Houston. So it's not gonna happen. But I'll catch you next time you come into Dallas, man. Yeah. No, Jason Walker was HVAC Masters of the Hustle. He was kind of the OG on the podcast scene in HVAC.
Buzzy.
Yeah, him and Gil, HVAC Uncensored. So
awesome.
And so and realistically, like, this particular format has branched out. I've like, my whole thing was having people that spend time in other people's houses. So like, in general, or in that business, like, so one of my favorites was like listening to a hoarder clean out specialist.
Oh my gosh,
you have no idea. Like, you'll blow your mind listening to a hoarder clean out specialist talk about
what I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
Yeah.
So Shauna, I know you got to run in 5 minutes. So before you go, let me ask you something.
Okay.
Because I would love to do like a full episode, like with you, like a full hour. Because the format's usually an hour, right?
Sure.
Hour and a half. Yeah. Tommy Mello last week did like every bit, filled every second.
We actually went to the Home Service Freedom conference. It was wonderful. It was really lots of nuggets, lots of implementation coming back from that.
Powerful people there too.
Who are incredible.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like sometimes that when you are around some of those people that have scaled their businesses in a way, like, you feel like, I couldn't do that. Like, that wouldn't apply to me. Like, it's not my market. It's not my, it's not my feeling. What do you think about that?
Well, for example, they had one of the speakers this morning. She talked about imposter syndrome. So it's such a true thing. It's, you compare yourself, or you look at I would love to be like that and whatnot. But we're all just on a different path, and we just have to reflect on that, and that we're in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, and that way. I actually came back from that conference. It's interesting. You come to all these conferences and you go to, there's like the high and low of it, right? You go and you're pumped up and you're excited, and you come back and then you're like, how do I put all this into action? And then you start thinking about all that you saw and the comparison. But the reality is, I was talking to somebody about this the other day that runs ran a $250 million company. He was like, listen, you guys, even at the size that you are, because we're small and we're out in a really small rural market, you're still, we're not talking about comparison, but still you have to realize you're doing so much better than 95 or 98% of Americans. Okay. I mean, it's like,
but you guys work
business
really
people.
Hard.
We do. But I think you just really have to kind of stop and put it all into perspective. And we have a great life, and we're here and we're doing these things. And I don't necessarily have to run a $250 million company to be successful, right?
Are you happy?
Yeah, I am.
What's the most meaningful circumstance that has happened to you recently?
Oh my gosh, put me on the spot.
All right, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I got to tell you why I asked this.
Okay.
Every episode I ask, what is the most meaningful interaction that you've had with a customer? Something that every day it lives with you.
Well, my thing, I love to get to meet people and know people. So like, a lot of you might know Catherine. Well, Catherine Pollock. She's running Lee's or whatever. I get to spend some one-on-one time with her this weekend. And that was like super meaningful. I got to see her actually.
Catherine Pollock.
Yes. Yeah. And observe her. Well, some people associate her with the last name Howard, but anyway, that was her main name.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yeah. And so we spent some time together and some quality time. And I think I love genuine relationships. And so I love getting to know people in a very genuine way. And so that's probably been the most meaningful thing lately, is to see the woman behind the mask, if you will, right? Just like authentic people.
Does it help
authenticity?
You?
Oh yeah, I think so too. Because I think we're all out here doing our best.
This has been awesome. I know you gotta go.
Yeah, I don't want to be late.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Hey, I really appreciate you
we'll
coming
do
on.
something.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be fun.
Okay.
You and your husband, maybe, who knows?
Yeah.
Or maybe just you. We'll showcase somebody. Thanks. Thanks, Shauna. That was good, guys. Tactical? No, we're not coming on. We're not going live. Yeah, why not? Why not? You're here. You're hanging out. Oh yeah, is that right? Well, guys, I got a celebrity Ben Poole here. Ben. Ben Poole. I hear amazing things about you. Why don't you tell everybody who doesn't know who you are?
I'm just a third generation HVAC guy that is passionate about my trade, and I want to leave the industry in a better place than it was when I found it. And so I've done that by doing a series of things within the HVAC Tactical brand.
Yeah.
So, yep.
And what are those things?
HVAC Tactical started about 6 years ago, and actually 6 years ago this month. And it started as a clothing brand. So searching for cool shirts and hats that represented what I did every day for a living, that were very few and far between. And if you could find them, they were very gimmicky, very cheesy, not something that I would wear. And then you were forced to either wear like an OEM hat, right? Honeywell, Carrier, Lennox. If you're a Carrier guy, you'll never wear a Lennox hat. If you're a Lennox guy, you'll never wear a Carrier hat, right? So I wanted to bridge the gap and have a kind of agnostic brand that was just a brand of the people, something that just stood for excellence and mastery of your craft. And so HVAC Tactical was born. And then that molded into a black tie Emmy style award show that we do once a year, right at the before the opening night of AHR in the city of wherever AHR is being hosted.
Yeah.
And then out of that came the HVAC Tactical magazine, which is essentially like a Sports Illustrated, if you will, for HVAC, without the bikinis, obviously.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see me in a bikini.
Very cool. I did get invited to one of your events actually a couple years ago in Vegas, and my times of flying in, I didn't get a chance to make it, but I was really happy. And I'm not sure if it was Gil or if it was Tersh that won that year. I'm pretty sure it was Tersh that won for podcast of the year. I think it was. In
Vegas, it was not neither. It was neither one of them.
HVAC Jerks won that year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Vegas was the very first live show that we ever did. Jerks took the podcast award home for that.
That's right. Jerks did take the podcast home for that.
Yeah. Then Gil, then Tersh.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So.
That's right. Actually, and so I know Gil and Tersh for some years now. They kind of like helped me to sort of springboard me here, and I'm really happy, and I love having conversations with guys like you. So do you still operate an HVAC business?
I do. I just started my third one.
Where is it?
Austin.
Oh, it's in Austin?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And this is your third one?
Correct.
So you sold both the other ones?
My first company I had in Arizona, I sold it. And my second company I had in Austin, Texas with my dad. My dad and I decided about 2 years ago that we needed to go our separate ways. And so I walked away from that company. So with nothing.
And now a new one. What's the new one named? What's it called?
Crafted Comfort.
Crafted Comfort.
Yeah.
Is it like a play with like K's? Crafted Comfort.
No.
It's CRAF. Austin's such a great market. You've been living in Austin a while.
10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Yeah, it's home for me now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Texas claims me officially now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're a Texan now. So the tactical idea was how many years ago?
We started that brand October of 2018, so 6 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so since then, the magazine, obviously, there's a huge social media presence and the event. Very cool. And do you come up with all the awards, by the way? Do you come up with the different categories?
Yeah. So I have a small committee. I'm moving this table. I have a small committee that is kind of a rotating committee, and we try to keep who's on that committee on the hush hush, just because it's just easier that way than somebody going, "Hey man, I heard you're on the committee. You're like, hey man, vote for me." You know, it's just like, I'm not trying to do that. It needs to stay authentic. It needs to stay genuine. Non-gimmicky.
That's smart.
Yeah. And so, so for the first couple of years, I did all of the awards, and then I would run it by the committee. And the committee, this is the largest committee that we have this year. I think there's 6 of us now. We were trying to get a 7th person, but we just couldn't all agree on the 7th person. So we just decided to keep it at 6.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What's the coolest award you think out of all the HVAC tactical awards? Like what's kind of the weirdest and coolest one?
That's a good one. There's a lot of new ones this year, so it's hard to speak on what's this year, but I would say in the previous years, I would say the coolest one is probably going to be a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's some guys that you've never even heard of, but you've probably read their books, right?
Really?
You've probably seen curriculum from them. You've probably done book work through them, but you never realized like who they are.
Yeah.
And for me, that's a real problem. I think if you're really giving back to the industry and dedicating your life and your craft to this trade, like you should be recognized for that. You know, you should be honored for that.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that we do. So I'm a real big fan of the Lifetime Achievement Award. And, you know, we utilize a lot of different influencers and previous winners and even co-sponsored with like companies to present these awards. And then the Lifetime Achievement Award is I always take that one and I always present the Lifetime Achievement Award. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Let me ask you this, because obviously you run multiple businesses, right? The HVAC Tactical it's not profit, but right, it's a nonprofit. Or
it's not a nonprofit.
Okay, so you make money. Okay, so either way, so HVAC Tactical and then Crafted Comfort. You obviously HVAC bred like through and through, right?
Yeah.
You've been doing this a long time. Your dad is an HVAC, right?
My grandfather,
like 3rd generation, right?
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. What percentage would you say of like your time, day, whatever business is like, what percentage of that is like true HVAC? Like we have a divide in our industry and it's pretty simple, right? I mean,
I know where you're going with this. For me, for years, I struggled with, my identity was wrapped up in my craft. My identity was wrapped up in my career. If you were to have stripped 2.5 years ago, if you would have stripped HVAC from my life, who am I? I would have been lost. I've been through a lot over the last 2.5 years, a lot of personal growth, a lot of spiritual growth, going through a divorce, navigating those waters really allowed me to recenter and refocus who I am and to whom I belong and my identity. And now I don't struggle with that anymore. So I realized that the AC company could go away, Tactical could go away tomorrow, and I would be okay with that. So I realized that all of this is just a gift, if you will, and it's temporary, right? So, who knows what happens when I'm gone, right?
Yeah.
And nobody else has really done this before. So this is all kind of, trailblazing, experimental type stuff, right? So, I mean, hopefully I can leave something like this, kind of a legacy thing with my kids. I mean, that would be cool, but my kids don't really have any interest in being in the business. And for years I said, I don't really want them in the business, you know? So this business will spit you up. It'll chew you up and spit you out. There's no doubt about it. But for me, I really spend most of my time, I used to spend most of my time doing HVAC stuff. Now being that I'm primarily HVAC Tactical and I have help on the Crafted Comfort side where I don't have to be in that thing every day, all day, that I probably spend about 60% of my time on tactical stuff. And I spend 40% of my time with my kids and doing stuff like that. So Yeah, I've realized that working every day and being on the grind, and I get it, you got to make money, you got to provide, right? But at the end of the day, it's like when you are on your deathbed, you're never going to look over at your kids and say, man, I should have took one more service call.
Yeah.
I wish I could have serviced a couple more clients, right? It's quite the opposite. It's like, I wish I would have spent more time with you, right? So instead of saying that when you're 80, 90, 100 years old, say that now. Spend the time with your kids now. This is time with your kids you can't get back, right?
Yeah.
So, and how you shape your relationship with your kids now has a drastic impact on your relationship with your kids when they get older. So again, I've learned a lot over the last 2.5 years. And really what it boils down to is getting your priorities in line. So, and that's where my priorities are.
That's some really like amazing self-reflection. When you started HVAC Tactical, like, what were the things that you kind of like that sort of latched on as being like, okay, this is cool. And now all of a sudden I've got all this sort of awareness on HVAC Tactical. And then all of a sudden things kind of took off because everybody in the industry knows HVAC Tactical.
Well, I don't know about that.
A lot of people, yeah.
It's, you know, I was here, I introduced myself to somebody. I said, I'm Ben, by the way. And then she goes, Ben Poole? And I'm like, so that was cool, right? But that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've only scratched the surface on this thing. I mean, more people don't know about what we're doing than people who do,
yeah.
right? And so the goal here is to become to HVAC what Red Bull is to action sports, right? So if you're in the industry and I say Lennox or Carrier or Train, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? And that's the goal, is we want to get to a point where it's like when you say HVAC Tactical and you're in the trade, you know exactly what it is we're talking about. So we still have a ton of growth to do, but it was
where's that going?
It was the original award show that really kicked everything off. So we did the award show in Vegas, and that was like the catalyst that just catapulted, right? And then all of a sudden you catapult for the next 12 months, and then you hit the next award show and catapult again. And then people are like, how did I not know about this? Right? Because it's just something so unique and so different. I mean, blue collar guys like me and you don't get to wear tuxes on a regular basis, right? So this is an opportunity for regular dudes who are blue collar to go black tie for a night, walk a red carpet, take some cool pictures with your wife or your girlfriend or whoever, and then have some cocktails, have dinner, have an award show. And really, man, you're getting to be in a room with 300 other people who are great.
Also don't wear tuxes very often.
Yeah. And they're all just trying to be masters of what they're doing, right? Like we all share this common bond of just like HVAC, man. You know, it's like if you get around another HVAC guy, you just start chatting, right? And you just can't stop. And this is how it is. And not only that, but we also put you in a room with a bunch of other OEMs and sponsors. And so now you, especially if you're kind of big on social media, now all of a sudden you have these opportunities to work with these companies and get paid to promote their products and stuff. Whereas before you're just using their products because it's a good product, right? So now you can get paid to use their product and promote their product online. And now you're building a relationship with an OEM that you might even have like direct impact on that product, because you'd be like, this is not good and you need to fix this, right? And they go, well, what do we need to fix about that? So all of a sudden now your opinion is valuable, you know?
Yeah. Very, very cool. Awesome, man. Dude, I really appreciate it. This is impromptu, by the way. I saw Ben he just was walking up and walked over. Hey guys. I saw them come up, and I saw him come up, and I was like, hey man, you want to just come on? And he was like, sure. Okay. So it was nice of you, man. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Anything? All right. Well, before you go, because I don't know when I'll see you live again, because I would love to come down to Austin if you want to do a live podcast.
Let's do it.
But what is one experience, okay, preferably in the field, that lives with you forever? Maybe a customer interaction.
Yeah, I got one.
Shapes you.
Yeah. So I talked about, growth and where I am in my faith and in my spiritual walk. And like, I know who I am and to whom I belong. And at the end of the day, it's all about serving other people. And so I was on a job one time and I was on a sales call, and I came to this guy's house to give him an estimate. And not exactly sure how it all unfolded, but he basically was telling me, how his wife is cheating on him, and he doesn't even know if he's going to be in this house. Like, he doesn't know if he should buy an air conditioner, asking me like, what should I do? And I'm just like, man, that's a tough one. Right. And so him and I just really, I don't know, man, it was just one of those things that just became very real, you know, and I've been through similar experiences in my life. And so I was able to relate. And, you know, both of us just kind of, you know, cried together, and I'm just walking him through like how I've dealt with stuff like that. And, you know, and that there is a brighter side to all of this. And, you know, and I obviously left there with like zero, like, dude, I don't care if you buy an air conditioner from me or not. You know what I mean? Like,
awesome.
but leaving there, really what it did was left the impression of like, man, I am here on this planet to serve people, right? And in the HVAC business, this is a service business, right? The greatest thing you can do in life is serve other people.
100%.
And so that's one of the things that makes this industry so great. And for me, that's an experience that I'll never forget, an interaction with a client where just opened up.
See, you were in the same place in life, like very similar places in life. It's amazing how, like, and I believe in God, so it's amazing how you somehow,
the Lord will put you in a place where you need to be.
Somehow the two of you ended up in that space together and were able to share a cathartic, you know, moment and work through it. And we don't have enough time now, but man, I've been there. I totally understand it, except it wasn't a guy going through the same thing as me. It was an 85-year-old woman. I'm not even kidding you. It was the craziest thing in the world, right? And we were sharing something that was happening to us both at the same time. And 50 years apart, right? So very, very cool.
At the end of the day, we're all human beings, right? We all have this core inside of us that is full of emotion, and, you know, and like when you can just relate to people and really kind of have this empathy of what they're going through, right? And, you know, sometimes having the right words is not necessary. Sometimes it's just being there.
Listening,
just crying with somebody,
being a
right?
Therapist.
Just being there, right? So the words aren't necessarily the most important thing. It's your presence and your intention. So
intent, very good, dude.
Yeah, man.
Ben, cool guy, man.
Appreciate
I really
that.
enjoyed this. Awesome. So we are, Ben, I appreciate you. I've got other people I think I'm going to talk to here, but also I have an interview later with this amazing service technician who like posts these incredible videos, educational videos. His name's Jordan. Many of you in the Dallas area know him, Jordan Wiggins, and maybe you've seen his stuff on TikTok too, because he's kind of blown up. So I'll be talking to him full blown episode later. So this is a day where if you're on your social media feed, you're going to get really tired of seeing me. So, all right, guys.
HVACtactical.com.
Oh, plug it.
HVACtactical.com.
HVACtactical.com. For a sweatshirt.
For the latest and greatest in all things HVAC.
Very cool.
We'll see you guys.
HVACtactical.com.
That's right.
All right. See you.